TikTok is an interesting platform. It allows for people all over the world to upload videos on any topic in a 15-second bite-sized format, making information quick and accessible. Learn a new recipe or a new dance. Even though we can collectively make fun of it for its more ridiculous trends, it shouldn't be denied that it has also been a force for good in some ways. It has even played a role in reviving interest in old cold cases. While TikTok is a diverse platform with both positive and negative aspects, in this video, I'm going to be going through a list of TikTokers who ended up killing someone. In each case, I'll break down the reason as to why and how it happened. In 2021, Ali Abulaban was a 29-year-old TikTok creator who went by the name Jin Kid. He had over 940,000 followers. Jin Kid was known for his comedic skits and voice impressions.
Look, Dad, I know it sounds crazy, all right, but just hear me out. The map exists. All I have to do, look, I'm not stealing it, I'm borrowing it. We take it, we flip it over. If there's no map, we put it back. No harm, no foul. Don't call the cops, Dad.
Yo, you got a bathroom here? Nah? Alright. Yo, what'd you say to me? Yo, suck my dick, stupid. Yo, y'all know the fucking vibes? I'm a king of New York.
Considering Jin Kid's knack at impressions and his growing popularity, maybe he could have segued his social media following into a full-time career in comedy. Shortly before he was arrested for double murder, he had said that he had been in LA meeting producers and a potential talent agent. But any chances he had of making it big were dashed on the afternoon of October 21st in 2021. Ali was married to Anna Abulaban, and the two shared a 5-year-old daughter. Anna was in the process of separating from Ali, and on October 18th, she had asked him to leave their apartment. Prosecutors alleged that it was around this time that Ali began stalking his estranged wife. He downloaded an app on their daughter's iPad so that he could monitor activity in the home. Friends and family of the couple said that Ali was jealous, controlling, and possessive of Anna, and that their relationship had a history of domestic violence. On October 21st, Ali heard Anna and her friend Rayburn Cardenas Barone laughing in the apartment. He then claims he heard R&B music. Ali armed himself with a gun and confronted them in the apartment, which was located on the 35th floor of a high-rise apartment complex in San Diego. He shot Anna's friend 3 times, in the neck, cheek, and the back of the head. He fired one fatal shot into Anna's forehead. Ali fled the apartment and picked up his 5-year-old daughter at her school. His daughter would later say that he had told her that he had hurt mommy. He was pulled over by police while he had his daughter in the car. Despite all of the evidence against him, Ali pled not guilty to 2 counts of murder. Here is what Ali says happened in his own words.
Yeah, I was listening on the house with the iPad through my phone.
So when you heard Rayburn's voice, you went
I
to...
didn't recognize him. I didn't know who it was.
But what were you thinking?
I was freaking out. Oh my god, I caught her. I caught her. Oh my god. Oh my god. There's a man. There's a man. And then guess what? I hear nightmare. R&B music. I'm trying. I was like, no, I'm sick, Nana. No, I'm sick, Nana. I'm like, don't do it. I'm screaming.
As you're driving to the
I'm
apartment,
driving. I'm screaming. I'm crying. I'm like, don't do it.
what happens when you get to the apartment?
I go up and I see them.
What did you think? What did you think?
They were nothing. I didn't see. I don't. It was a blur. And I felt like I was on the passenger seat of my own body. But when I opened the door and saw who it was, broke my heart. And to see her kissing Ray on my couch with his feet on my table. With my feet. I'm running my apartment.
that clip was pretty damning, and I'm sure the prosecution will use that clip in the trial. It seems like he is still trying to defend the actions and the choices that he made that day. He mentioned how hurtful it was for him, as a man, to see his wife with someone else in the apartment they shared on the furniture he paid for and assembled. I read through the comments on that interview, and there were quite a few people saying that he is crazy, insane, etc. But to me this seems deliberate, like he is trying to set up grounds for a sudden passion defense. Sudden passion is a legal defense defined as passion directly caused by and arising out of provocation by the victim. Sudden passion arising from an adequate cause is considered to be an affirmative defense that must be raised and proved by the defense, by preponderance of the evidence. The best example of sudden passion is a husband coming home from work to discover his wife in bed with another man. The sudden passion this could cause the aggressor would be more than he could reasonably bear, and he could end up receiving a lesser charge, like voluntary manslaughter, because he was provoked by the victim. However, that defense would not work in this case, specifically because Ali had no reasonable right to believe that they were still monogamous, since they were estranged and no longer even living together. Also, sudden passion implies he happened to walk in on them, which we know isn't the case. It was more methodical than that. He installed an app on their daughter's iPad so that he could spy on her. There was no sudden walking in on them. He had been spying on her, and upon hearing a man's voice, decided to arm himself, drive to the apartment, and go up to the 35th floor, and that took some time and thought. In other words, there was nothing sudden about how these murders occurred. At some point during the interview, the reporter asks Ali if anyone other than himself was allowed to have Anna. This was his response.
Could anyone else have Anna? Could anyone else have Anna?
Well, she's married to me.
I think this is a pretty clear-cut case of if I can't have you, no one can. Ali was someone who may have had potential, but he squandered it away because of an inability to control his emotions and accept that his marriage was over. In 2020, a 20-year-old Zachary Latham of New Jersey was arrested after he fatally stabbed William Durham, his neighbor. Now, what makes this case so wild isn't necessarily just the murder itself, but it's the events that preceded their fatal confrontation. Zachary did not get along with his neighbors, the Durham family. The family consisted of Dad, William Durham Sr., Mom, Catherine, and their 2 sons. Everyone in the family noticed that Zachary was a reckless and dangerous driver. He would speed around the neighborhood going over 100 miles per hour. Multiple members of the family had actually confronted Zachary about his reckless driving several times. Other neighbors also corroborated that Zachary was known for his erratic driving. He would often record his interactions with his neighbors and then upload it to TikTok.
You said I'm an Yeah?
His videos about his beef with the Durham family got more traction and attention than his other content. Zachary's followers would encourage him to continue messing with the Durhams. So there seems to be a sense of upping the ante in this case. The worse the confrontation, the more views and hype Zachary would receive from his followers, until it culminated in William's death. A month before Zachary stabbed William, he got into a heated argument with Catherine, William's wife. The video got 3 million views.
What are you gonna do, Karen?
That's not my name, so get my name straight. Go ahead.
You okay, Karen? Go ahead, get my tag.
Go.
Get my tag, Karen.
My name is not Karen, so get my name straight.
Get my tag, it's okay.
A45MFA. Sir, is an officer.
All because my car is loud. 3 cop cars.
Zachary got a lot of support from his followers who encouraged him to continue messing with the family. His followers left comments that included, "Mess with her more, egg her house, and cut her tires." After the video went viral, Catherine's son confronted Zachary and told him to step out of his vehicle. Zach then informs him that he has a knife. Of course, Zachary posted that confrontation too, with part of the caption reading, "Blow this up for part 3, #Karen." There isn't much information available about Zachary's upbringing and his early life. What we do know is that he became emancipated at 17 years old and he married his wife Sarah at 18. He worked as a National Guard private and had moved to his grandparents' home 2 years before he killed his neighbor. It seems like he was immature and arrogant. He seemed to have no consideration for how his actions affected others around him, and in fact, he actually seemed to relish the attention he got online from messing with people. On the day of the murder, it is alleged that Zachary sped in his car toward one of William Sr.'s sons, while the son was riding on his bicycle. The event rattled William Sr.'s son, and he presumably told his parents about what had happened. Later in the day, Zachary was arriving home, accompanied by his wife, Sarah, and 2 friends. William Sr. stopped them in the middle of the street and confronted Zach about almost running over his son. Zachary got out of the vehicle and pushed Catherine away from his car and then drove the car to his home, about 500 feet away from where they had originally stopped him in the road. An altercation then broke out in front of the house and Zachary and his wife ran inside. He would later claim that he was in fear for his life and acting in self-defense, but instead of remaining inside and locking the door and calling 911, he grabbed a stun gun and a knife and went outside to further engage William Sr. He first stabbed William Sr. in the arm before trying to stab one of the sons. The son was able to move out of the blade's way just in time. He did use the stun gun on William Sr. and stabbed him in the back. Keep in mind that Zachary's wife, Sarah, is recording all of this as it's happening. The Durham's lawyers later alleged that Sarah had said that she had recorded the altercation, not as evidence for the police, but that she had originally started recording with the intention of uploading the video to TikTok. Now some might be wondering, will Zach be able to get a drastically reduced sentence since the Durhams crossed onto his property and confronted him? No, probably not. New Jersey does not have a standard ground law. In the state of New Jersey, you must make a reasonable attempt to get away from an assailant before resorting to force. Since Zach went inside, got weapons, and then went back outside, that is not showing that he made a reasonable attempt to get away from his supposed assailant. In June of 2021, Zach entered a plea of not guilty to reckless manslaughter and 2 charges of aggravated assault. He was freed from jail pending trial, after which he was no longer welcome to live with his grandparents at their home. He relocated to Florida, where he worked as a car salesman before he was fired. He has continued to use social media to comment on the case, defending his actions that day. Prosecutors are alleging that he has no remorse and that he has actually bragged about the killing. But get this, while in Florida, he was arrested on charges of threatening a fellow motorist with a pellet gun that looked like an assault rifle. Getting involved with the law and commenting on his case publicly violated the agreement of his pre-trial release. The judge in Zach's case ordered that he be sent back to Cumberland County Jail in New Jersey. While discussing Zach's violations of his pre-trial agreement, Judge William F. Ziegler said, "Now I'm confronted with the fact that the defendant in this case has violated 3 key conditions of his pre-trial release, including being charged with a new violent crime, a violation involving weapons, and continuing to post about the case on social media. I can't any longer fall back on the proposition that this is one instance of aberrant behavior based upon factors that are not likely to recur. The defendant apparently has now at least exhibited in the state of Florida as well as in New Jersey, with the tragic events that occurred here, that he is not capable of governing himself or his emotions, and is in fact prone to threats of, or in fact engaging in, violent conduct." This next case takes us to Tampa, Florida. Cameron Herron wasn't a TikToker, but I still included this case because he received a huge amount of support from the TikTok community. On the 23rd of May of 2018, when Cameron was just 18 years old, he and his brother Tristan were speeding along Bayshore Boulevard. Cameron was driving a 2018 black Ford Mustang, which had been a graduation present from his parents. He was racing his friend, who was driving a gold Nissan Altima. During their street race along Bayshore Boulevard, Cameron crashed his car into a 24-year-old pedestrian named Jessica Rabinolt. Jessica had been pushing her 21-month-old daughter, Lilia, in her stroller when Cameron crashed into them while going 102 miles per hour. Jessica was pronounced dead at the scene while Lilia died the next day. After Cameron's mugshots and videos of him crying in court were posted online, he was flooded with support from TikTok and Twitter users. The hashtags #FreeCameron and Justice for Cameron started trending, complete with broken red heart emojis. It seems that a lot of the love and support that Cameron received stemmed from people finding him attractive and, quote, too cute for prison. He received plenty of video tributes, some of which were set to Britney Spears' song Criminal, in which his supporters pleaded for his sentence to be reduced on the basis of being cute. Now, it should be said that some of the accounts in support of Cameron might have been phony or bot accounts created in countries outside the U.S. The judge considered Cameron's lack of a criminal record and his age at the time of the crime and weighed that against the harm that he had caused Jessica, her baby, and their family. The prosecution was also able to provide evidence that showed that Cameron had a history of excessive speeding, so this wasn't the first time he engaged in this type of behavior. Cameron Herron was sentenced to 24 years.
So on count one, vehicular homicide, the court's going to adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 9 years in the Florida State Prison. On count two, same charge, court will adjudicate the defendant guilty, sentence him to 15 years Florida State Prison.
I find it interesting that he was sentenced to 24 years, considering that that is the exact age that Jessica was when she was killed. For me, the most egregious part of this is just how preventable this tragedy was. Florida is one of just a handful of states that takes killing someone while recklessly driving very seriously. In other states, Cameron would likely have been sentenced to around 5 to 6 years as opposed to 24. I think it brings up an interesting conversation because there doesn't seem to be a consensus on how long a sentence this kind of a crime deserves. Some feel that while this was irresponsible and reckless, to say the least, that Cameron's lack of a criminal record, and given that he was still a teenager at the time, should have garnered him more leniency. We seem to take reckless killings less seriously when they are committed with vehicles. Cameron's attorney appealed the sentence of 24 years, and a 3-judge panel will review the arguments on both sides and either uphold the judge's decision or redo Cameron's sentencing. Claire Miller was a seemingly normal 14-year-old girl from Pennsylvania. She lived with her mother, father, and her 19-year-old sister, Helen, who was disabled. On the 21st of February of 2021, after the whole family had gone to sleep for the night, Claire got a knife from the kitchen and then went into Helen's bedroom. Claire attacked Helen as she slept and stabbed her multiple times. There was so much blood from the attack that Claire used a pillow to absorb some of the blood that was pouring out of a stab wound in Helen's neck. After killing her sister, Claire went outside and tried to wash the blood off of her hands in the snow. She then phoned 911 at around 1 a.m. and admitted that she had killed her sister. Responding officers found Claire standing outside in the snow, covered in her sister's blood. Her parents were still asleep inside, completely unaware of what had happened. The responding officers were taken to Helen's room, where they found her lying on the bed with a knife sticking out of her neck. Claire's parents woke up during all of this commotion, and I can't imagine how terrifying it must have been for them to make sense of the chaotic scene that they woke up to. They were informed that their youngest daughter had killed their firstborn. Claire already had a TikTok account with around 21,000 followers before she killed her sister, but afterwards her account gained an additional 11,000 followers. People were going over her content in an effort to try to see if there had been any red flags or clues as to how this could have happened, or what the motive behind the killing could have been. A lot of people seem to believe that Claire did this because she may have been jealous or secretly resentful of Helen. It isn't all that uncommon for siblings of disabled children to feel somewhat envious because the disabled child can sometimes receive more help and attention from their parents. Siblings of disabled children are also more likely to feel neglected or overlooked by their families, but most of them don't end up killing their disabled brother or sister. Some have speculated that it may not have had anything to do with envy. Maybe Claire just wanted to kill somebody and Helen's disability unfortunately made her an easy target. Soon after Claire's TikTok blew up, TikTok removed her account, but plenty of people had already downloaded her videos and reposted them to other accounts. I had a chance to look through her videos, and she seemed like an ordinary teenager to me. She liked anime and posted videos that would sometimes feature her family, a lot of your run-of-the-mill lip-syncing and dance videos. There was nothing in them that could even begin to explain why she did what she did. Claire was charged with first-degree murder, and the interesting thing about Pennsylvania is how the state treats juvenile killers like Claire. If a minor kills someone and the prosecution believes that they can prove that the minor understood the severity of what they were doing at the time, then the minor can be charged as an adult and can face the same legal consequences as any other adult, including life in prison or even the death penalty. The death penalty is not off the table in Claire's case, but I think it will be pretty unlikely that she would receive it.